Someone will say, oh, I've only got, £200 or £300, what should I get? I want a basic sound card for doing voiceovers or something like that. Usually that just means I phone Rick at Studio K and find out what's the best deal he can do with, and I just recommend that one to them.
That's a much better way to do it. Yeah.
Right, so what are we doing, John?
Hello,
what we got
welcome
today?
to the Session Recall podcast. Let's get out of the small talk.
Everyone.
What I was thinking of doing today is just through Facebook, Instagram, YouTube comments, like personal messages and stuff around like production bits and pieces that we've done around like everything we've talked about for the last, is it 17 episodes now?
I thought you were say 17 years then, John. So long we've
everything we talked
generally
about.
been talking shite for.
That's how long it feels.
How long have you been here now, John?
I don't know. I think we're going up to 10 years now, Nick.
Well, is it? Right, okay. We're going to do
The viewers' questions.
a viewer's questions.
Yes. Do you want to, before, I'll delete this bit now, but before, do you want to just go through the questions and have a look at them? I think.
Or should we do it blind?
Oh, let's do it blind.
What do you think?
I can't remember what order they're in.
Do you know the questions?
I do.
And
Well, I
don't,
do
right?
know the questions, and I've replied to some of the people with it. But then I just thought, well, they're good for other people to kind of look at.
Yeah.
All right, let's do that then.
Right, okay. So, you know the questions, John.
Yes.
I don't. I've never seen these, so we're
Yes.
going in blind.
I think this is two. These are two. These came in for two questions from two different people. First one
Right.
was, what sound card are you using for mixing in the box?
Well, I have my Apollo Twin with, actually, I'm just using a Mac Mini at the moment. Sometimes I switch to my HDX system with the Avid interfaces, but generally I'm using my Apollo Twin, which is sat right in front of me now, because I like to use a lot of the UAD plugins. I think it sounds great. I've also take that back and forth, so wherever I'm mixing, it's portable. I can go back to Leeders Vale, mix there, or wherever I'm mixing, sometimes in a cupboard. From working with Scott from Kit and Pyramid, could be anywhere. Yeah, so generally that's me. Before I'm pretty much always used the Avid stuff or the UAD stuff. Really, yourself, John, what you on at the moment?
Do you know what? One of the best things I ever did when I was setting up my studio in Porthcawl, I was looking at like a Pro Tools system at the time. So it'd been a HD2, I think is all I could afford, and the 192s and stuff. So I was looking at that, and it was coming in at like 10 grand at the time. And I thought, well, that's a lot of money. And I ended up buying the SSL Alpha Link and the MADI Extreme card. And I'm still using, so that's 2009. I'm still using the Alpha Link. And they've actually held their value.
Yeah,
Like, the price hasn't gone down at all since I bought it. It's more or less the same. And the only difference is now I've changed from the MADI Extreme because on the Mac, the cards, I don't think it's no longer supported. So I picked up a HD native and a Delta Link. And that's,
right.
so I'm just using that.
Martin Levan is a big fan of the SSL.
Yeah, he is like a shootout, didn't he? Like huge shootout for loads of different bits and pieces. And he's only just recently changed, isn't he? To is it?
Yeah, because he was SSL for years there.
Yeah, he had the Delta Link bit hidden by his computer. Yeah, I got I've still got my Mac Pro like from 2009 as well. I managed to keep it going. It's just about, as the plugins are getting faster now and they're getting more like they're getting more processor heavy, this just about starting to show its age, but it's been a really good system.
I mean, I love tracking on the HDX with the the Avid units. You just plug it in, it works, zero latency, everything, never any problems. Yeah, that just works. But no, they sound good. They do sound good. But we do love the sound of this the Apollo Twin, the Heritage. But sound cards for starting out.
Yeah, so this has come from Josh from Secret Faces. He sent me about a million different links. What about this? What about this? What about this? And
what was your recommendation?
Well,
what was the budget?
The budget is, it's literally like low, like under 300 quid. So you're looking at like the Focusrite solos, the Cubase ones, and then the feedback thing that I said to him was like, the sound cards would be good enough, like for what you're looking at doing. He just wants to record something, I think, for like Instagram or other bits and pieces. So he needs to kind of work with a laptop and his phone. The one thing I was saying to him is like, with the bundles, you get like 2-channel sound card, like a headphone and a mic. And the mics are usually like an OEM sort of thing. So like Focusrite do it. I think Universal Audio, I'm pretty sure it looks like the same mic. And then the headphones as well. And I'm just saying, is like, for the money, I don't know whether it's worth keeping hold of that, because what he wants to do, he just wants to record guitar. You just need a 57, just where you're starting out. So just saying, like, Audient, Focusrite, SSL now as well. Like they've gone into sound cards at the low end, and like Universal Audio, you can't really go wrong with any of them. Do you get this question from people from time to time?
Not as not as much. If someone will say, "Oh, I've only got £200 or £300. What should I get? I want a basic sound card for doing voiceovers or something like that." Usually, that just means I phone Rick at Studio K and find out what's the best deal he can do with, and I just recommend that one to them.
That's a much better way of doing it.
Well, Rick will tell you straight. Yeah. He'll tell you, no, for the money, you should get this one at the moment because we got that one on special. We can do that for you at this price, blah, blah,
That's
blah.
much easier way.
Yeah, so they'll get more for their money. And he always gives me good feedback anyway. Yeah. But yeah, I do. And I had a question of the day about mics and interfaces from Andrew from the band Maker.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're recording guitars and their guitar sounds, really important. They got amazing guitars and amps. And it was how much should we spend on mics and things like that because we're going to be recording something at home. In the end, it just ended up, saying, look, if you've got a 57, just use your 57.
Yeah.
You've got great amps. So we're wondering whether they should buy ribbon mics. Yes, but, you could probably spend a bit more money on your interface, on your setup there, on your monitor and things like that, and just use your 57 that you've already got. I can't remember what interface they were using in the end.
No.
But yeah, you say SSL have entered the market there now. You won't go wrong with things like that. The Focusrite setup, what you get with everything, the bundles you get.
The audience as well. There's basically they just lifted the mic out of the chat. They've lifted the mic out of the mic pre out of the desk.
Yeah, and we use audio mic pre's, don't we? They sound great.
Just work. So, that was the other thing. He was then going to go like that. Was when you talk about Maker's guitar. Josh was then thinking, maybe I need to get the amplitude one because then I can use like the plug-in for the amp. And I was thinking, you have a pedal board bigger than my bed. And you've got like 3 or 4, you got like a matchless valve head, an orange rock reverb as well. Like, why do you need an amp sim?
You've already got everything you need. Yeah. It's just, I suppose that they just think it's convenient to just plug straight in and then just use an amp sim. But maybe the noise thing, I suppose, if you're recording at home, but just don't worry about the neighbours. Just crank it up, get it done in a couple of takes, and then move on.
Exactly. Right. Next ones. What DAW would you recommend?
Well, for me, really, there's only Pro Tools, really. I'm actually doing an album. You'll laugh at me, John. I'm actually doing the new Kitten Pyramid album on Logic.
You're not doing it on Logic in the studio, are you?
Yeah, because
what's that like?
Because Scott's upgraded to Logic now, so because we collaborate a lot. He does a lot of the work at home, then we bring it together, and then I add loads of stuff at home, and we kind of work on it that way. He doesn't use Pro Tools, so we're doing it on Logic so that we don't have to redo stuff, or he doesn't have to export stuff all the time, and we can, a lot of the effects he's got and the sounds he's got, we can just use. So we're going to collaborate on that. But it's a long time since I did a whole album on Logic. I quite like it. I've used it for writing and stuff, and it's very convenient and everything you get with it and price wise and all that. But we've just grown up with Pro Tools and in the studio for recording bands.
Yeah.
And how easy it is to edit and quick it is to edit. For me, Pro Tools is just the best at that, For writing, for someone like Scott who's creating sounds and writing as he goes along, then Logic's better for that, for him. I guess it's whatever you're used to, whatever's fast, whatever does what you're doing. Like we know people who would always use Cubase, and they've always used it. Maybe they're doing a lot of programming, dance music, they've got their synths, and they got it set up to their way of working, so the flow's good, and it's good anyway. But for us recording bands, we have to know Pro Tools, because if we go to any commercial studio in the world, it will be Pro Tools when you walk in. That's what you'd expect to be there. That's what you'll be recording to, so you have to know it inside out. So I guess that's what we've grown up with. That's what we're used to. And that's the most stable and the best recording bands, I think, anyway, for the editing.
No, I agree. I was just thinking, like, when you're doing Logic in the studio at Kitten Pyramid, were you using your own Mac with the Universal Audio? Because that'll give you a more up-to-date one.
Beyond my Mac with the...
I'm a similar thing. I think whatever you're using, as long as it works, is fine. I remember when I started out, I was using Sonar, and then it was, as you say about the stability, it was good, but it wasn't quite built for what I was doing. I was always having loads of crashes and loads of issues with plugins. And then I went on a course and just did a Pro Tools one, like a Pro Tools 1 week. No, it was a free course put on, like, funded by Welsh Government or something. I can't really remember. And I got to go to Newport Uni. And I basically just got like access to Pro Tools for a month, and I just jumped in on a session. So I got the songwriting session coming up. I'm just going to use Pro Tools, and after that week, I just didn't go back. Yeah, I just realized, and
and then you realize whenever you go and work in another studio, you have to know Pro Tools. It's all on Pro Tools.
The other thing as well, it was like as soon as I did that, then the studio just opened up for other hires. Other people could come in and just use Pro Tools, and it would just work. And it was just, that was the other thing as well.
I mean, and I get why people with their personal studios where you don't dry hire it, where it's just you always working with the bands that come in. I get you use whatever you're used to because no other producer engineer needs to come in and use it. It might be a bit fiddly if bands start bringing in pre-recorded tracks and stuff that they've been doing elsewhere on Pro Tools, but especially if you've built your mix. But there's studios and they use their whatever they're used to, Reaper or whatever. But it can cause problems. Like if people bring sessions to us that have been recorded in other places and then they want to record some more on it, maybe some overdubs or mix it with us, and it's so much easier if they've done it on Pro Tools. Just for time of exporting everything with you. I know it's a lot quicker now. Back in the day when you couldn't just, export everything with all the effects and run it all off and bounce it quick. It was a nightmare. But now it's a lot faster and easier to do that, and they can just supply us with WAVs that are with effects, without effects. It's quite easy. But for me, Pro Tools.
I think what I've been doing to other people, just really quickly, you mentioned Reaper. Reaper, you can have like an evaluation license, and it's like 50 quid for the full license. And then if money's an issue, and you've got a Mac, just use GarageBand. Because I remember Dustin sessions were really good.
Yeah,
Dustin was doing like demos in GarageBand. Like you haven't got the mixer, so you got to go into another inspector view to kind of get to the volume and pan. But it does a lot of the stuff that you need. Yeah, it's just like a cheaper version, condensed version of Logic. Hasn't quite as many features, but it's still really good.
I think Scott described Logic because he's been doing everything on GarageBand up until now. He just describes Logic as GarageBand on steroids. Which it is.
If you want to do this, so we can just skip on. As producers, what do you think of Simon Cowell?
You've gone. One mention of Simon Cowell and you've disappeared, John. He's back. There he is.
So Simon Cowell.
He doesn't have these problems, John.
No, he just pays. He creates
team of people.
Did you do a session for Simon Cowell? Or X Factor or something?
No, but we were at some conference that he was at many years ago.
I'm sure there was I don't know if it's Simon Cowell, but was it the label? I vaguely remember some like pop X Factor, Pop Idol session in Rockfield where Rockfield don't have internet, and they had to send a taxi from London to pick up the files because it was getting mixed.
Yeah.
It was getting mixed
like
by
someone like
LA.
Big Brothers or something like that.
Oh, was it Big Brother?
Big
okay.
Brothers.
Oh.
Yeah, maybe they were big at the time. Maybe they were on his label. I can't remember who it was. Yeah, but the internet wouldn't do it, so they sent a taxi to take the files. But what do we think? He's done amazing things. For his label, made some massive TV shows, done some amazing things for a lot of artists, but also created a very strange industry that we're not really in and don't really agree with, I guess. I see that as the entertainment's business and I'm in the music business, a completely different end of the spectrum. You can't deny that his talent there at spotting artists, developing artists, promoting artists, creating these massive TV shows, creating massive superstars. So, and his passion and love of music and his talent is there, but it's also done a lot of harm to the industry, to grassroots music, to creating a lot of people who think that becoming famous is something that happens overnight without hard work and you don't really need to be talented, blah, blah, blah. But, I mean, you can't argue that a lot of the winners of those shows are really, really talented and it's just fast-tracked them to superstardom pretty quickly. So it's his vehicle for getting those out there, Yeah,
you think about in terms of obviously the reach they have on those shows where there's millions of people tuning in, hundreds of thousands of people. It does obviously give the exposure much, much quicker. And I think, as you say, entertainment, I think that's the right point because it was almost like a charade, basically. It was more or less after the Darkness and Mad World went for Christmas number 1.
Yeah.
It was more or less after that they started doing Pop Idol then. I think something along the lines of that. And that basically guarantees a Christmas number 1 for Simon Cowell every year. More or less.
Every year, yeah. He's ambitious. He wants to be most successful kind of label bosses, music producers ever, and that's ambition, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just awkward when you're working with artists day in, day out who are just struggling to get by because they get paid fuck all royalties, don't get a look in because the monopoly that those companies have on radio play, have on what labels sign, all things like that. Yeah, so it's hard when we're day in, day out kind of doing proper it's not, can't really describe proper music. I call it proper music, proper bands, proper artists. But there's nothing wrong with the artists that win these programs. They are really good artists, talented people, as a lot of them have shown as they've gone on to do their own thing afterwards. So yeah, it's an awkward one. That we've got to take your hat off to him, but also it's left a sour taste in the mouths of a lot of genuine musicians, and it's made it a lot harder, I think, for those musicians to get to make a proper wage in the world, which isn't just down to him. It's down to other people behind the scenes, other companies, and your online platforms and things like that. So I think lots of reasons, but you have to admire what he's done and what he's achieved, haven't you?
Yeah, you do. I think the other thing as well that you think you touched on was there's this also this thought now in terms of like, I just need to go on this and I'll be an overnight success, and not realizing was like it's a lot more difficult than that. I think, was it Quincy Jones used to say, like, you used to get altitude sickness. People would get to like a certain point, if they hit stardom, they don't realize what's about to come.
Yeah.
In terms of like exposure, in terms of like just being in the public eye that much.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it's tough because an overnight success usually takes about 10 years.
Yeah.
It
does, yeah.
Unless you're on one of those shows, which is it's pretty much overnight, and I don't think people are ready for that. Then, whereas usually a band have grafted, or an artist has grafted, done all the shows, done all the small shows, toured back of a bus, worked, written hundreds of songs to get the 10 best ones. Yeah, and then they become successful overnight, but there's 10 years of hard work gone into that.
Yeah,
which prepares you for longevity But, it depends how you make music. I think you should just make music you want to make, and because you love making music and because that's within you and that's what you want to do. As soon as you start just thinking, I'm just going to be this, it's just a different thing. That's the entertainment world, and not really, I see it as the music business.
Any genres off limits for mixing? Anything you won't touch?
Anything too heavy. Not, I kind of enjoy mixing the guitars on really, really heavy records, but not really. If they're good, they're good. I mean, there's certain stuff people wouldn't send me jazz records to mix. Although I could mix it, and although I do like some jazz artists, but I wouldn't really mix that. I'm not really. I don't know. Bavarian folk music, maybe. Not there's anything wrong with that, John. No, I mean, we've had all sorts, from 80-year-old Valley women doing kind of like 1930s style organ music. That was, that wasn't off limits, and it was enjoyable. And of course, I've done a lot of heavy stuff. No, I guess there's certain stuff that I would just be shocked if it got sent to me. Like, I don't know, maybe. I mean, we're not going to start mixing trance records, are we, John? Really, but.
No, probably not, sadly.
Although we've just spent the last few days listening to some great trance mixes. So, from a good friend of mine, DJ Paulino, Paul Gaynor as he's known, he sends me his trance mixes regularly. They're great. No, for you, is there anything you don't? I mean, there's stuff I don't like doing, but I see it as a challenge then, and I just try and do a good job of it. Obviously.
I think it's a similar thing when you said about like I'd be surprised if they send it to me. I think metal, like if we go like towards like the heavier ends, I think there's better people at it than me. I think,
and I would recommend other people that I know who do that, really well.
Yeah. Otherwise, a similar sort of thing. I think on the other side, like metal, then maybe pop, but then it's just because I haven't had that much experience. I've been kind of like realizing I'm probably more into like indie guitars, acoustic.
Kind of the mixing, because it's mixing, it's a bit different than if the question had been, is there stuff you won't produce? Because like I wouldn't really produce R&B and hip hop because it's just not what I do. And I'd be like, no, you'd be much better off going to use someone who does that.
Yeah.
So whereas mixing, I could mix R&B and hip hop records. I'm kind of down with the kids, John, listen to the radio, know what's happening. And I have my
Snoopy
style. I know what
Dog
sounds
at
good.
ICT.
Yeah. So I could, so mixing, there's not really a lot that's off limits because you're being creative and doing your thing, and there's a lot of technical aspects to it as well. But if the question was genres that were off limits, you just maybe wouldn't put yourself in that situation of producing stuff that is just not going to sound right when you put your style to it, So more there's styles for that in production land that you wouldn't touch rather than mixing.
Yeah, so any good multi-track sources for improving your mixes? This one came up from Craig in the community. Kind of answered this one already a little bit. I suppose this is for people like looking to start and obviously don't have the chance to kind of record as much, but still want to practice mixing.
Right.
What I said to Craig is like Cambridge multi-tracks. So I think it's Mike Senior from Sound on Sound.
Yeah.
And how it's been set up is there's loads of just people submit tracks for mixing. They can't afford it. So there's a massive library now of tracks there for mixing. And the other one is like multi-track competitions and stuff.
Yeah.
Like Telefunken are pretty good in terms of doing it from time to time because they see it as like an opportunity to show off their mics.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess getting stems of tracks that have been mixed and released and then having a go at mixing it yourself and then comparing your mix to the commercial released mix is a great it's a great way of finding out your style and how you mix rather than just trying to recreate the mix that's been mixed. And you can kind of hone in on a style that you've got, and maybe why is the mix that got released better than yours, or is yours better than that one, and why is that, or is it just different? And maybe getting maybe not just getting raw files and then seeing the amount of work that's maybe gone into a mix to get it from what was recorded to the commercial release of it. You learn so much from doing that, and you won't know the change that are involved in getting it to that point, but hearing those raw stems and then hearing a mix, it's like, right, okay, hearing with it all the production stripped back and all the mix stripped back. I've been sent raw files, and then I've been sent the rough mix, and you're like, wow, the rough mix is really good, but it's nothing like what was recorded because a lot of work has gone into the production and the mix already. And sometimes that's where I like to start with my mixes, where they're at, because they've built the track up and that's the sound of the track and that's it. So then I'm just kind of balancing it, maybe adding a few bits of production here and there. But in terms of sources, I don't really know. No, the ones you've mentioned, really, I don't really know any others.
But you wouldn't need, I suppose it's like you wouldn't need to look for it because you're working on enough anyway.
I mean, getting feedback, sending mixes to us or to other people and getting feedback on your mixes, that's a good way of improving them. And sitting in on mix sessions and sitting with the mix engineer and seeing what he's doing and asking him to explain why he's doing it. I mean, it might become a bit annoying when someone's trying to be creative, but if you allow plenty of time to do the mix, then you can sit there and watch the mix and watch the change happening and watching what's going on, especially those technical things, checking all the phase and aligning multiple mics and things like that. Those things that need to be done as well.
Yeah, there's something that people don't realize, I think, in terms of the alignment stuff.
Yeah.
I'm a bit lazy because I use auto align from Sound Radix.
Yeah.
Just stick it on, like kind of let it kind of figure it out. But where I learned the most, I think, was watching other people and seeing what they do. And I suppose that's one thing that's missing a little bit. People starting out or like just recording themselves or doing stuff at home, you don't get to see or learn as quickly because you're not.
No, I mean, there's great tutorials you can watch on YouTube, isn't there? But I think being in the room and being able to say, well, stop a minute, why are you doing that? Or what would happen if you did this? And then being able to try that and see it in real time firsthand.
Yeah.
So even though there's great tutorials out there, I don't think you can beat shadowing someone while they're producing or mixing.
Yeah, and that's true. That's a very good link in there because we've got that workshop coming up in Leeders Vale.
So if you want to shadow two great producers, engineers, and see how they do it, then come on the production and mixing workshop, as it will now be known as, John.
Production mixing workshop.
Yeah, there's still, I'm not sure how many places are left on it. There's a couple of places left, I think. So yeah, come on that. Craig, you asked that question. He's going to be there as well, isn't he? So
yeah. So 11th. So April the 11th to the 13th. We'll be doing this in Leeders Vale. So it's an opportunity just to record, like go through like recording processes and also talk about mixing and just like being able to ask these questions in person and watch, like getting feedback. There's these kind of things I really enjoy doing.
Yeah, and we'll record a song. I think we're going to get Josh in to record a song with Josh Josh, who's part of the community. So we'll get to record him, see how we record him, see how we build the song, and then we'll mix the track. Yeah, but there's lots of things going on over the 3 days anyway.
Yeah, so that'll be available. You can find out more information at sessionrecall.com/Leeders Vale. So thanks very much for watching. If you guys have any questions for us, please just drop us a message, leave us a comment on YouTube, or send us an email at podcast@sessionrecall.com. As we said, we've got a guide for bands who are starting out called the Bands Checklist, which is available at sessionrecall.com/band checklist. And we've already mentioned as well that we've got the production workshop happening in April. There's a couple of spaces left on that now as well. Thanks again for listening, for watching, and if you know anyone who'd be interested and think this podcast would be useful for them, please share, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you all again next time.